Hello, hello. Welcome back, nerds and geeks, or whatever you are, or just normal human beings. You're listening to the two Maesters, and we're back after quite a long hiatus for reasons we shall explain soon. But we're back to talk about Wednesday Addams Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, 4, because they're doing a bloody silly mid-season break. As per usual, it's I, Morgan, speaking here, joined by Josh. How you doing?
Good, thanks. As you mentioned earlier, boiling hot out here in Saudi Arabia, but all good, all good. Thankfully, they have air conditioning everywhere. Literally, like, you go into the shopping mall, you go into a restaurant, you go into the cars, you go into the buildings. It's like, you wonder why the emissions here is so high.
Yeah. Wow. It must be a necessity that has to be there all year round. I mean, I wonder what the electricity bills are like compared to a temperate climate like in the UK where, well, I suppose we have air conditioning in the UK now. It's so hot, but if you have to have the air conditioning on all year round, I don't have to have the heating on or air conditioning on in the UK. You know, this is how you know you're an adult. You just think of electricity bills. You no longer think of just turning it on or off. You have to really think, do I really need to put the heating on? Well, to all our viewers out there, that's life in the UK summed up for you. Depressing.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, depressing and expensive. Yeah. I guess I think our viewers already know why, where you are. I think we did some recordings after you'd moved to Saudi. Reason why I haven't been on the podcast for a while is I've been doing my master's degree, folks. I've been working part-time and doing part-time master's degree. So my cup has been full, but I think I might be able to squeeze in a few more episodes, even with this next year of my master's degree coming through. Let's see what we could do. I've missed this a lot. So without further ado, let's go on to Wednesday Season 2. So let's start with Episode 1, of course. Here We Woe Again. That's the title of the episode. So Wednesday returns for another year at Nevermore after becoming some sort of serial killer hunter over summer. Definitely she could be a pedophile hunter in real life. I get that sort of vibe from her. She returns to Nevermore. She's quite a celebrity at Nevermore because of what she did in Season 1. She has a stalker, the strange ginger-redhead girl, I think called Amelia something. There's a crow murderer on the loose. We don't find this out in the first episode, but an avian, so someone who controls birds, specifically crows. There's some cool bonfire scene at the end with a phoenix that catches fire. Unfortunately, Wednesday's manuscript for a book, which I can't remember if she was writing in Season 1, it's been so long ago, was placed there, but she luckily saves it. On a side note, Wednesday Addams' brother has also joined Nevermore, Pugsley Addams, and boy, does he look like a Pugsley Addams. He's so cute and dorky looking. He accidentally resurrects a former student or teacher, I can't remember, who had a clockwork heart so they could stay alive forever. Somehow he resurrects them, brings them back as a zombie, which is pretty gothic and cool. Wednesday's continuing to have these weird visions. So she has this vision of Enid's tombstone, which is pretty dark. And I love it when Wednesday has those visions and she cries tears of black blood or whatever that is. It's pretty cool. Another side note that I don't think is particularly important for the synopsis, but Enid has been ghosting Ajax over the summer. Oh my God, what gossip. Wow. Bianca, who is the sort of key siren in the show, is pressured by Steve Buscemi. Oh my God, Steve Buscemi, who's the new head of Nevermore, to get funding for the school from Morticia's mum and Wednesday's grandma. So that's the synopsis. I have picked out the synopsis is very raw, but there's so many comedic moments in this show. The one-liners from Wednesday are great. personally, I love the airport scene at the beginning where she's caught going through a metal detector with loads of weapons. A security confronts her and says, "What didn't you understand about forbidden items?" And Wednesday says, "What don't you understand about filling up a flying tube with 100 people and thinking it will be a perfect paradise?" And then she gets caught with sun cream, which is over the liquid allowance. He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, my bad." It was excellent. What were some key things you remember about this episode, or any key thoughts that you comes to mind for it?
I think one of the things I do like about the start off of season 2 is that it's not, you know how you have some TV series where it's like, okay, yeah, season 1, that's wrapped up, and now season 2, it's something brand new, and this is a new villain, this is a new storyline. The previous season will come in bit by bit, but it's not really that major. The one I like about it is that it carries stuff up from the first season, so it gives you like, okay, good, I watched the first season, and the fact that the events of it still holds to it. I think the funny thing is the fact that you've got like Principal Door is like it completely opposite to the previous principal. And he's like, "Oh yes, let's celebrate Wednesday for the good work that she's done." And it's like a complete shift from what happened in season 1, and the complete like frenemy and like sometimes mentor relationship that she had in season 1. And I think the thing that I like about it.
Was it Gwendola Christie's? Is it Gwendola Christie? I can remember the actress's name from Game of Thrones. She was the principal, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you were saying?
I think you then do see the new dynamic with her like brother attending the school. And I think it's always when you have siblings, it's like, don't talk to me, don't acknowledge that I won't acknowledge you exist. But if you need help, I'll be there. But just, you better make sure that you really actually need help because I have my own life in this school. We're not going to be stuck at the hip and just because we're relatives.
That begs the question, did you and Jeffrey go to school together?
Funnily enough, no, the gaps was too big. So like when he joined,
you sound like you're happy about that though, after what you just said.
Yes. When he joined reception, I joined year 7, and then when he joined year 7, I went off to university. It was my 2 older sisters that I actually went to school with, and because they were both girls, it was actually like easier to have the break. But for the both of them, because there's only like 2 years, like really 3 years, but 2 school years apart, they kind of like, you know what, we're not talking to each other, we don't hang out. But because I was a guy and there was a gap, it was like, yeah, but why would I want to be hanging out with you in the first place? When I
I guess it's
playing
different back then.
or rugby or messing around. But I think if Jeffrey was older, I'd kind of be like, you know what, stay to your lane, Jeffrey. This is you and your group of friends, and this is me. Because I think
he's going to have great fun editing this video. He's going to be pretty pissed off.
And I think also, like, as teenagers, I think this is the one thing that I do love about the show Wednesday as a whole. It kind of like encapsulates what it means to be a teenager and show it in a way that it isn't too childish. Like, we all want to have our own space and be able to then have our own, being able to show off that this is who we are. And then when you have like a relative or like an old friend or even a sibling, or even like, unfortunately, you know, those people who they go to a school and their parents are at the school as either a teacher or the principal or
I had that. My mum was that teacher.
Then it puts you in a box of, okay, this is that person's son, this is that person's brother, oh, that's that person's friend. So it's not like, oh, this is Morgan, this is Joshua, this is, oh, look, there's Joshua, that's Josephine's brother.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts you in a box and doesn't give you your own personality. Yeah,
you're now identified by your relationship with them. And I actually went to school with my brother as well. Similar thing. And that's what I like about this Wednesday show is it picks up on common tropes of going to school, you know, that having a sibling in school and they're cramping your call, like Pugsley is. Well, like Wednesday appears with Pugsley. He doesn't really want to hang out with him, but to be honest, Wednesday doesn't want to hang out with anyone. So that's not too mean, I guess. And then all the like the social groups at school as well. Like the funniest thing is just some of the puns they have in it as well. So like the Gorgons, which Ajax is part of, are called the Stoners, which is just the best bloody pun, considering they're like Medusan style, so they turn people to stone. That's the best pun I've heard in this show. Like, honestly, that's great. Yeah. A funny side note, I went to secondary school with my brother. It was a 2-year age gap. I once caught him smoking a cigarette outside school, and I immediately called mum and ratted on him. So I was such a bad brother. See, that's why Wednesday doesn't like going to school with Pugsley. Stuff like that could happen. We'll see. I guess some other comments about this episode. Steve Buscemi, great. I didn't even know. I mean, I forgot. It's been so long since I'd seen the first series of Wednesday, which I didn't actually completely finish watching. I never saw the last episode. I didn't know Steve Buscemi was going to be in this. That guy is like, he's kind of Steve Buscemi and everything, but like he does play a lot of different characters, but he usually plays quirky, oddball characters, but he's got a bit of range. Another thing is I really like that Morticia and Gomez Addams are in this series a lot more rather than, say, recurring characters. I mean, kind of spoilers for the other episodes we're about to talk about, but they're in every episode pretty much. And I think that they got great chemistry. The constant PDA they have is just their public display of affection is just so cringe. And again, another school trope, isn't it? Like, or like growing up trope. Your parents are just too happy in their marriage and just too much public displays of affection going on. Like, for example, in this episode, I can't remember what it was, but like Gomez turns to Morticia and says, Tish and I will discuss it on the ride home. And they give each other this like, knowing look that's just like, oh, cringe. Yeah, it's pretty good.
And I think to your point, I think one of the things that's so nice is that it finds a way to, and I think that's why the show's so successful. It can capture what it means to be a teenager and to then go through teenage life, but then kind of like an adult audience can get it and understand the tropes and then understand the one-liners and the gags and the comedic level. And it kind of reminds them, oh yes, this is kind of like when I was back in school. Like, these are the things that I didn't like, or things that took place, or things that reminds me of like the good old days, or even like the horror factors of like embarrassment. And then even to the point, like, it's stupid now, but then you always think back to like, there's always like cliques in high school, the American version, or secondary school in the UK. And you didn't just laugh to yourself, like, how many of these cliques actually stay together after school's ended?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think I talked to maybe 2 friends from my high school, but I know some people really do like stick to their friends group. But, it'd be great if a season 5 of Wednesday, season 6 of Wednesday is her going to university, like maybe a normal university, a Normy university, unless there's like a outcast university as well. That would be cool to see, because then that's some different kind of tropes there, but maybe it'd be based on like American American university - college tropes. Okay. Anything else regarding episode 1?
Oh, I would say not just for episode 1, but I think just like concerning season 1 and just the show as a whole. I think the weird thing about it is that it's kind of like they've been able to create a murder mystery and put it in a Nancy Drew type effect, but then add in the supernatural element. And they've done.
What do you mean by Nancy Drew type effect? What's that?
So Nancy Drew is, I think they did a film like in the early 2000s, but it's like about this teenage detective who's I think she's in high school, and she has a group of, I think maybe 2 or 3 friends who then help her to investigate and find stuff. I think it was originally a book which turned into like a TV series, and then I think it was Disney that might have done a film in the early 2000s. And the whole thing is that she's like a teenage Jessica Fletcher. And then everyone thinks she's an annoying, busybody teenager, similar to Jessica Fletcher, that everyone sees her as like a busybody book writer who doesn't know how to mind her own business. But the way they've been able to do it is then they've been able to then add in the supernatural. And you could just argue that the first season is literally a murder mystery on who is actually the Hyde, who is the monster killing off people within the school,
Yeah.
just in the community. And the way they've done it so well is that it's an old trope, but it does so well because they've been able to then add in the other factors into it of like, just because someone's a monster doesn't mean that they are then a bad person. You then see that some of the most monstrous acts are from the people who are actually just normal.
Yeah,
I
the
think
humans
also,
and normies.
yeah, and I think also just with Wednesday's character is that you understand that she actually has growth through the season, and you can see through her that, okay, she understands why it's important to have friends. She understands that sometimes doing the right thing can end up getting you into trouble, especially later on in the season when she gets kicked out and expelled from the school, or the fact that during like you might have watched the episode when she goes to the dance, that one of her friends, I think it's Eugene, gets attacked. So it's kind of like, sometimes when you're trying to do the right thing, you have to sometimes pick between doing the right thing and then also having a good time. And I think that was key from season one. I think hopefully they then, which they do into season two, is that sometimes I think TV shows don't do, is that sometimes doing the right thing can land you in the shit. And sometimes
Either
doing
way.
the right thing.
You sound like The Witcher. You sound like The Witcher, dude. Do you remember that comment about like, if I have to choose between two evils, I'd rather not choose, lesser, greater, the middling.
Yeah.
I'd rather not choose. They're all the same to me. And it's true. That's like real life. Sometimes there is no right decision. It's just you either hurt yourself or you hurt others, or it's a bit more complicated than that. So I do like that. And I like these types of shows where there's genre crossing. So it's like a mix, like The Mandalorian was like a sci-fi that was also a Western in a way, wasn't it? Especially season one. And then you have this show, which is like a detective show at a high school. And it's also like a horror, a Gothic horror, of like Tim Burton style.
Yeah.
So, a lot of genres. And I guess that's a good way. It's a good way to bring life into series these days rather than just sticking to one genre and everyone's like, oh, it's so predictable. Oh my God. At least there's a lot for different people to see here. Yeah. Okay.
On the standout quote, another thing that caught me off guard is like when, let me try and remember this properly. So when Principal Dort tries to be like all friendly with Wednesday, when she says during the crowning, saying that she would have like a crowning ceremony, and she said, I'd rather be waterboarded. Like, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
No boss.
Oh, I know. I mean, Wednesday always has these great one-liners. Like, that one was really good. Another one was like, she was talking, I think she was at the crime scene. Okay, so you got this crow murderer that murdered this private detective. I think she gets confronted by Galpin, and she says something about who died or something. She's like, they're like, don't speak ill of the dead. And Wednesday's like, I don't like to speak ill of the dead. It's much more fun to demonize them. Like, she always has these just like darker and darker lines that are just great. Like, especially at the airport security scene. But that one you mentioned also is really good as well.
Like, there's no coming back from that line. It's like, what do I now say?
Just be like, oh wow, I don't know what to say as the principal of this school. Rather be waterboarded. Trust me, I've got plenty of like doing notes and watching each episode. I was like, it was really hard to like try and note down the synopsis and the story and not just like note down all the funny things that Wednesday does and says. Like, again, Jenna Ortega, flawless, great in the role. Like, she's meant for it, honestly. Okay, let's move on to episode 2, The Devil You Woe. But if you want to like harken back to season 1 or just talk about Wednesday in general, we can do that as we go along. Just feel free to jump in with me. I always have this pressure of like, the time, we've got to keep moving. But we got loads of time, actually.
Yeah.
So, synopsis of episode 2, The Devil You Woe. So, Wednesday finds Galpin, the detective from season 1, murdered by crows, i.e. the avian. Wednesday's psychic powers are weirdly failing, possibly because her mom, Morticia, took the book from her, which Wednesday confronts Thing, the best character in the show, the hand Thing, and tells her that Morticia took Goody Addams' book, and perhaps that's why she's losing her powers. Pugsley reveals Slurp, i.e. the zombie he resurrected, to Eugene, which he has chained up in a shed. What could go wrong? And I'm loving the trope of just throughout all these episodes, that Slurp gets chained up, and just the thing that's holding it to the wall just always breaks apart. I'm sure it's going to happen in later episodes as well, that whatever they chain him to, just they need to secure these nails, or add some oil. Bloody hell. So Wednesday goes to Willow Hill Psychiatric Hospital and has a reunion with the chained up Tyler, who is the what kind of beast was he? What kind of outcast? What was he called?
I think Hyde. I think it was called. Yeah,
Hyde. That's it.
After Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, that's a great scene because they're just trading insults of each other. And as usual, Wednesday always gets the last laugh. I think great moment in this episode is actually how Wednesday got to Willow Hill Psychiatric Hospital. She pretends she's Enid because Enid wants to do some driving lessons. So Wednesday goes to the driving lessons, says she's Enid, and she has great experience of driving a car, and she scares the crap out of the driver. And she just turns around to him at the end and says, "I'm the captain now," which must have been some Captain Phillips reference. If that wasn't, then. But man, just the driver's crying at the end as well when they get to know more. Wednesday Addams is the badass dark rain cloud that just destroys and ruins everything, and I love it. So Enid and her new love interest, part of the Wolf Pack, get captured by the psycho stalker Invisible Girl called Agnes, the redhead, who. Strange scene that basically Wednesday actually rescue. Somehow she manages to beat them over, hold them down, tie them up, and then put them in the clock tower, have all the swords dangling. Wednesday manages to rescue them, but I'm just amazed that they don't just beat the crap out of her for that. They actually could have died. And spoilers for the other episodes, but they continue to. Wednesday insists on working with her, and then Enid sort of maybe warms to her, but it's a bit too early to say. And then final thing is the driving instructor. The poor driving instructor gets munched by Slurp. He gets his brains munched out completely. So yes, pretty much the episode. Anything I missed there, or any thoughts you have?
No, that's mostly it. And I think being able to then bring back to what I was saying earlier, the fact that you have have conversations with Tyler in the episode also brings into the fact that, actually this is a carry on from the previous season. And I think one thing that a good TV show is able to do is that it's been able to kind of have multiple storylines, which I think is really cool. And
one thing not too many that are overwhelming.
And one thing also reminds me of maybe it was the 1960s film called The Birds.
The Birds.
And the birds just start attacking people. My sister told me
about Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, it was an Alfred Hitchcock film. Yeah.
So I was reading somewhere that just Wednesday that it gets a lot of inspiration from birds, but I guess season 2 specifically gets a lot of inspiration from it if it's about birds attacking people.
And even in the season 1, the film Carrie as well, when you had the red paint going everywhere, and the fact that she then licks it and says, "Oh, it's not blood," then is an ode to the Carrie film that it actually was blood.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pop culture references in there, like Captain Phillips, "Look at me, I'm the captain now." It's cool to see. Everyone likes a nice, good pop culture reference. Some other things I picked up on. So this was he in the first season? Dr. Olaf, the old man, head in the jar teacher. Was he in season 1 or was he new?
I think he might be new actually, yeah.
Yeah. Do you not get Futurama energy from that head in the jar? Yeah. So much so. I really want to rewatch it, Futurama, because when you hear Olaf talk, he's like a grumpy old man, but also you got the bubbly effect. So it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of school that you might have some teachers who are like, I don't know, not very good at communicating. And it could be like sort of a trope or example of that, in quite a mean way, I suppose. There's very strong Futurama energy there. Another thing is like, okay, go on.
Just also on your point about like kidnapping, you kind of then ask yourself, like, if this is the type of school, why am I sending my child back to the same school where people, faculty members, people in the community, children in the school were murdered? And I'm like, you know what? my child didn't get enough of that school last year. I'm going to send them back this year for another go around. Maybe they'll be able to kill them off this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to put that question in, like, how is the school still operating? But I think it's gone long beyond that. Like, it's definitely not a normal school. Ofsted and like inspectors do not visit this school. It's not on a national curriculum. But it's interesting thinking about like how it functions on a day-to-day business. Like one thing I did forget to mention about episode 2 is, the funding issues that the school has, and the principal, what was his name again?
Dort.
Principal Dort was pushing Bianca to basically get some funding, and he actually convinces Bianca to use her siren powers on Morticia to like encourage her mum to come and give some funding to the school. And again, that's quite real. A lot of schools got funding crises. But I just thought Morticia would have been, I don't know, resistant to the siren power for some reason because she's older or something. But I don't know. I never actually knew the lore of the Addams Family. I never watched the original shows. So Wednesday Addams is kind of my introduction to it. I guess another interesting thing you see in this episode is you hear a bit about socio-economic disparities amongst students. You can see my master's degree starting to come in now. I just overanalyze everything. But for example, Enid has to learn to drive. Like when Wednesday Addams finds out that she's taking driving lessons, Wednesday's like, really? You're doing driving lessons? And like, Enid's like, yeah, well, not everyone has a chauffeur. And I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, Wednesday's family's loaded. Especially when you find out her grandma owns like, wow, lots of cemeteries and properties and stuff therefore. So it's like old business. Yeah. Pretty cool. Huh? And then my final comment about this episode. So cool to see Thandie Newton. So I can't pronounce the name, back on screen. So I haven't seen her since Run Fat Boy Run. She was iconic in that movie.
Also in what was that called again? What was that TV show called again? That had like, it was a Western TV show with a robot.
Oh my God, you're right.
Westworld. Yeah, she was in that. Yes.
Yeah, she was a pretty cool character in that. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I haven't seen Westworld in so long. Shame about. We should do an episode on Westworld. Why have we not done that yet? I think it's because season 1's great and it just slowly, like a fart, just like goes downhill. Yeah. Unfortunate, but what a great show. Okay, any other thoughts on episode 2?
I'm kind of trying to think, like, especially like you using your master's degree to analyze like the whole thing about like Agnes, and like why is she then brought in, especially with her hero worshipping Wednesday? And to your point, why does she then kind of like later on in the series team up with her? And then I think maybe part of the reason is that Wednesday kind of enjoys it.
I think it's the trope of the unpaid intern. Because how she does, there's kind of spoilers for the next episodes, but she takes on tasks that will basically take them off Wednesday's plate so she can focus on the key tasks. It just feels like she's the unpaid intern of the group. But perhaps they're forming a squad. Yeah. And they'll be like, they'll get bigger and bigger each season, maybe.
And you need someone to do the admin, so you might get a free intern.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
I can't remember. Go on.
I was just going to say, the series it kind of loosely reminds me of like Harry Potter, just on the basis of the children do everything, and you're asking yourself the question, what the F are the adults doing? Like, how ineffectual are you that this stuff is happening? Like, especially when children end up dying in Hogwarts, and then you ask yourself the question that,
Wait, do you mean
aren't
Hogwarts or
these supposed?
Nevermore?
Oh no, I was just saying in Hogwarts, and then also
I
in
am
Evermore
Hogwarts.
as well.
Then.
It's like, especially when Cedric Diggory dies, you're like, aren't you
They
supposed to be
killed
some of the
my
most
boy! My
powerful
boy!
wizards and witches in the whole world, and yet you didn't. Only a boy who's in maximum year, I think year 8 or year 9, is the one who keeps saying Voldemort's coming, and everyone doesn't believe him. And then when he turns up, you then like, oh my days, Voldemort's. And then you ask yourself the question, and you see it also like in Nevermore, is that Wednesday isn't like a child. Well, powers wise, she's a child prodigy, and also she has divisions which kind of help her. But
Yeah.
then sometimes you're like, as an adult, aren't you kind of ashamed that these teenagers are basically, one, doing your job for you, and also saving and securing the school while you're basically almost obsolete?
Well, yeah, you got to wonder I mean, Nevermore does have a funding crisis, so that could explain why you have children tying other children up and dangling knives over them. So I think it's the funding crisis. I'm going to pin on that one. Otherwise, I don't know how the school would function.
It would be funny if Nevermore and Hogwarts were in the same universe, and
Oh, yeah.
the fact that Hogwarts was the prestigious school and Nevermore was like the school in a backwards town that no one wants to talk about, and that all the misfits, as you can see in the show, get sent there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the uncool school out of all of them versus like Hogwarts. And I'm trying to think if there's any other series about. So I guess what other series are there out there about sort of a fantasy series about school?
So there's like Percy Jackson, but that's more like a summer camp and less of a school.
Spring Break, baby.
There was that TV show that used to be on BBC. I think it was called The Worst Witch when we were growing up. That was like a school. I think that might be it.
Yeah, there's not really many out there, is there? Unless there's like, I feel like there might be something I'm clearly missing, but I don't know. But there's not really many fantasy TV series or movies about school, but combines it with, say, magic, shall we say, at the very least, of folklore or creatures and myths. So it's kind of like at least in the movie and TV media, it's not a very common thing to see. So interesting that, because you say, imagine Hogwarts and Nevermore were in the same universe, but like, that's it. That's the only thing that exists in that universe. So you'd have to really expand it, Okay. And I guess one more thing I didn't mention about this episode, actually two things, is you get introduced to basically something bad happened to Wednesday Addams' aunt, i.e. Morticia's sister, and hence that's why Morticia won't let Wednesday have the book of whatever Addams back, because she thinks the same thing could happen to her aunt, also had these visions. And the final thing I forgot was that Thing's birthday. How could everyone forget that Thing has a birthday?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, what does that mean? Like, is that when he got decapitated, amputated from whoever's body, or where I don't know. Just so many questions, and the best bit is because everyone forgot. Enid, I think Enid comes back to find Thing's little house, which is so cute, to find him like surrounded by empty like shots of alcohol, like small, like really shooters of like whiskey and vodka. And her line's like, how does that even work? Like, anyway, and then let's get on with this. But like, just like, where's that alcohol going? Like, what's Thing doing with it? Like, wallowing in her own misery. But like, how does a hand drink whiskey? But okay. I love that. So episode 3, Call of the Woe. Have you noticed that all the episodes are fun on woe? So the first one was Here We Woe Again. Episode 2 was The Devil You Woe. And episode 3 was cleverly Call of the Woe. Which is great puns. And fourth one is If These Woes Could Talk. Just like endless. I wonder if they're going to do the whole series. So the synopsis. Go on.
What does woe mean? Because that could kind of like be like the focus for this whole season. Because I think woe means like something bad has taken place. But
Let's see. I'm going to Google it. Woe. Great sorrow or distress. I guess. Well, knowing that, you got this idea that the visions might drive Wednesday crazy, and you'll find out about her auntie, but also, it also might be that it could be to do that Enid vision. What if something really bad happens? I mean, I feel like Wednesday Addams is kind of fun for the whole family, so it'd be like quite dark if they had, say, Enid truly die in it, or just depending what the aunt says, what goes on with that. Because it's a Gothic genre, so I guess it's a little bit above PG, but I think they want to keep Wednesday as like something that's suitable for people below the age of 15. So it could be why it's got woe in it. Maybe something really bad happens, but I think it'll be limited. So, episode 3, Call of the Woe. So Nevermore's first camping trip, and some Normy Boy Scouts show up. And this is great because I love seeing this sort of battle between the Normy Boy Scouts and Nevermore. And it's just a cool environment. I love like an episode where they, I don't know, and it's the classic series trope where you have like an outing episode where they go on like the great outdoors and something goes wrong. In this case, the Boy Scouts show up. Also, Pugsley brings along Zombie Slurp, who is slowly like regenerating with each person Slurp munches. They're becoming more and more back to their normal self. But God, bringing Slurp along, great idea. I've got to say one thing, a little detail I love is I loved seeing all the Nevermore tents. They're really cool, especially, was it Pugsley Addams tents or Morticia and Gomez's tent? But that was so cool. Honestly, I thought that was really cool. What else? Basically, Wednesday wants to come along to this trip because really she just wants to investigate a cabin that was used by Galpin and his son, part of like working out what the hell's going on with all the murders. In that cabin, she discovers newspaper cutouts of missing Willow Hill psychiatric hospital patients and the name Lois or Lois painted on a wall. Wednesday is really pissed about that book, challenges her mum to a blind duel with swords, which is really cool. To get like Goody Addams' book back. Morticia wins that fight, just as, well, I've jumped ahead a little too much, but going back to the Boy Scouts and Nevermore, they have this big fight standoff, and somehow these normies who have no powers but some headphones and some smoke grenades manage to get the upper hand and just run them all. I thought in real life, they'd probably all be dead, those Boy Scouts. Like, what are they going to do with like a compass and a pocket knife? Wednesday comes across as looking badass, and of course, scene where she zip lines down to the tower and kicks one of the boys over he'd probably be dead from that kick as well, just saying, but it's a PG show. So then basically the Boy Scouts want to get revenge on this and attempt to invade the Nevermore camp to sort of kick them out. But they accidentally let out Slurp, the zombie, who proceeds to munch the Scoutmaster and eat his brains, which is great. I'm loving these brains tropes. We're then treated to a bloody hilarious scene where Gomez Addams is in the shower, just doing his thing, singing. And then Slurp is just breaking through the door in a very The Shining, here's Johnny kind of scene, which again, another pop culture reference, isn't it? Yeah. It licks Gomez's back, and he's like, ooh, and he thinks it's Mortician. He's like, oh baby, he couldn't hold up, and then he realizes, oh come on. And then he's sort of running around the camp. Everyone gets scared, but he eventually gets apprehended and transferred to Willow Hill. So that's pretty much the synopsis. Anything I missed there?
Oh yeah, just that Wednesday does get what's her name again? Bianca's help just to interrogate like a student.
Oh yeah,
If I'm
remind me
remembering
what happens
correctly, yeah.
there.
So if I'm remembering correctly, oh yeah, Wednesday sees like a giant cast, like a mold of like a large bird's footprint by the
Okay.
lake, and then starts like interviewing witnesses as well, and then she then gets like Bianca's help, and then because like there's this like jittering classmate of hers who says she's seen like a ghostly pilgrim, and that she's seen it like walking around like the toilets at midnight, and that some people think it's like Crackstone's ghost, and that he might be
Yeah.
trying to like to haunt them. But then like Wednesday's like doesn't really believe that it's actually Crackstone, but believes that it could be like a clue to like the bigger thing that's taking over the area itself.
Was Crackstone about some Puritan guy in the first one? Like trying to remember. Yeah. Okay.
So
God,
like
I really should have rewatched the first one before season 2.
So like Crackstone was like this guy who founded Jericho, and he basically burnt many of the students, especially the supernatural students' ancestors, by caging them and then burning them to death. And then they were trying to kind of like resurrect him at the end of season 1. And then Wednesday was able to present it, not present it, prevent it. Imagine present it. She was able to prevent it from taking place. So it could be that Crackstone is kind of like the main villain that you have, and just everything about him for the series from start to end. Which is I kind of prefer that, because then you hate a show where they have a villain and then they kill off the villain and the main thing in like season 3, and then this brand new villain out of nowhere comes and he's like, oh yeah, this guy's so powerful, he's so dangerous, and you're like, but then when was he in like 1, 2, 3? But I think what they might do with Crackstone is that he will then be the main person and the main villain discussed throughout the whole TV series. So it then kind of then brings like the big bad is this guy, and everyone is either trying to resurrect or interact or trying to maybe even bring about his eternal demise. So it then kind of like grounds the story.
That's a good idea, because I guess it's like keeps the point of reference of season 1. I do agree with you. I hate TV shows where each season new bad guy, and you just know that season's going to end with the hero coming out on top. So like Peaky Blinders, it's a great show for the atmosphere, the soundtrack, and the acting, and the bit of the history, but so cyclical. Each season is a new bad guy. The Shelbys are in trouble. They're in mortal danger. They get driven out. And then by the end of the season, it's all come about. They've defeated the bad guy. Bad guy's gone. End of season. And just each season, new one. Whilst like shows like The Boys, for example, you've got this dynamic of Homelander throughout it, but yet he never gets taken down. He's the main bad guy antagonist, but there is a new bad guy introduced every season, I think, roughly, or like, so you had Stormfront, you had, Soldier Boy, but, there's going to eventually be a big showdown between Homelander and Boys, eventually, between Butcher, and we can't wait for that. So that's good. I like that sort of dynamic. So maybe it'll happen with this Puritan evil Burning Man, perhaps. He might make a comeback at the end of the season, or, well, spoilers for the next episode, but we don't really exactly know yet why the avian is trying to kill, the private detective, etc. We find out who the avian is, but we'll go on to that in episode 4. But I wonder if there's like a bigger puppet master pulling strings behind things. Have to see. So some other random things point out in this episode. I love it when Gomez wants to go into Pugsley's tent and says, so you're going to invite me in to inspect your tent? And Pugsley turns on and said, can't let you in. I just let off a big fart in there. Smelled like someone died. And I was like, damn, it's kind of rude to slap the zombie. I'm sure he doesn't smell great, but a fart's quite rude. Yeah. We're in the battle against the Normie scouts, so they throw tear gas at the students. Which again, how can tear gas take down an outcast? But I guess everyone's got their vulnerability.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then a lot of the Nevermore kids put on gas masks or steal the gas masks off the Normie kids. But Wednesday's just walking through the tear gas with no mask, nothing, without a problem, straight deadpan face, and she says, "It takes more than chemical warfare to bring tears to my eyes." Classic Wednesday one-line.
Yeah.
I think I'd just be happy with the show. There's just Wednesday doing on one-liners all the time. She's just excellent.
Funny enough,
Yeah.
is like videos online, like Wednesday's one-liners, and probably by the time the series finishes, there'll be like an hour-long video of one-liners one after the other.
Yeah,
right,
or like
they are really quotable.
Yeah, like there's Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner YouTube videos you can watch, or not necessarily one-liners, but just very memorable quotes. Yeah. So anything else on this episode before we move on to episode 4?
One thing that I did kind of like see that the birds were kind of like targeting like specific people. And I think maybe like, is it possible that the person who's actually controlling them is specifically saying that these are the people then target? And also with like the birds themselves, and also people linking it back, and even them linking it back to the Alfred Hitchcock film, is there like is it that they have like a consciousness where someone kind of like directs the birds and the birds are like, okay, then we'll kill this person? Or is it that the birds are actually being controlled?
I always assume they're being controlled, but perhaps it's not so clear.
The controlled part is far scarier than someone directs them and says, "Oh, birds, just kill that person," or the person actually fully controlling all these birds and being like, "Yeah, I'm going to attack this person and kill this person and peck this person to death."
But could you imagine if you're an avian and instead of controlling crows, you're controlling seagulls and you're just like terrorizing people at the beach, like shitting all over someone's lunch, or getting those seagulls to steal you some fish and chips from people? Oh, that'd be fantastic. Very nice.
Pure mayhem. I'm just
pure mayhem. Weirdly enough, I live next to a restaurant, and suddenly I mention chips, and suddenly I just get the smell wafting in here of like what smells like fried food. Oh, delicious.
Maybe you've been smelling it for some time, and it's subliminal messaging into your brain. That, oh, Morgan, you might need to get some chips.
Yeah, I started to get hungry, and let's skip through this next bit. I'm going to get some food. No, I'm joking. Nice. Anything else on episode 3?
I think kind of also like her losing her powers, kind of like Wednesday losing her powers kind of restricts her abilities. And you kind of see it in TV shows where, especially funny enough, it's nearly always in season 2 of a TV series that the person who has either it's like superpowers or supernatural powers kind of like loses it to some degree. And then they then have to learn, okay, then how can I, for her case, be a detective without being as powerful and being able to use her vision powers? So then being able to learn, so when the powers come back, they then have like a growth arc that, oh, I've grown so much because I can be a detective without the powers, but then now that I have the detective skills and my powers, they kind of complement each other.
Yeah, like, am I just my powers? It's like that classic identity crisis. Like, am I just my powers, or am I so much more than that? Doesn't really show up in this, but I guess, you can read into it and see that. But I wonder if that'll be something that comes out in the next episodes. Especially as well, no spoilers, Wednesday Addams gets mashed up proper bad at the end of episode 4. Perhaps she has a bit of a crisis after that. We'll see. Okay, so on to episode 4, If These Woes Could Talk. So a synopsis of this is Wednesday Addams discovers that Willow Hill death certificates were signed by Augusta Stonehurst, who is now a patient at his very own psychiatric hospital. He was actually the owner, the boss, the proprietor of it, but now he's a patient there. And I love that idea. That's very Gothic. There's even a quote from Wednesday Addams of that. That's so cool. That's worthy of Edgar Allan Poe, who pops up a lot in this. Uncle Fester is back. I love Uncle Fester. He's recruited by Wednesday to basically infiltrate Willow Hill, and very funny scene where he just literally books a room in like a hotel place and just basically wrecks it so he can just get arrested and sent to a psychiatric hospital. Love it when he wrecks the bedroom, the police come in, slowly approaching the bathroom door to find him in the bathtub, playing with rubber duckies. Very cute, very cute. I love Uncle Fester.
And also, to the point you were saying earlier about like Edgar Allan Poe, do you know the reason why they keep bringing him up?
I mean, he's like the father of like Gothic literature, is he? Or
he wrote a poem called The Raven.
Well, that makes so much sense. So I've been saying crows this whole time, but it's actually ravens. Whoops. Okay, that makes sense. I don't actually know much of his stuff, but I probably have been saying crows this whole time. That's rough. That's like House of the Dragon when it should be House of the Wyverns. God, people just so much fake news out there these days.
And like the only reason I know that he wrote the poem The Ravens is because the Baltimore American football team is called the Ravens, and it's because he went to Baltimore and wrote that poem there. So I was like, I've never read the poem, but it was just like an interesting fact that it's weird, like naming your team after a poem written by a poet. It's kind of weird.
That's pretty cool for American football.
Yeah. It is like when you've got like Cowboys and Giants, they actually sit down and said, the Patriots as well, or actually no, Buccaneers is actually quite nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Especially that they're based in Florida.
Yeah. To actually have a team named after something to do with poetry, that's pretty sophisticated, man. You don't see that in English football names. I mean, it's usually locations you talk about English football names, but no. So Uncle Fester gets arrested, gets sent to Willow Hill, and starts going about his business, getting around. He gets jiggy with a Louisa at the Willow Hill canteen in a very uncomfortable scene to watch, where they just go to a store cupboard, turn off a light, and start making out. But they don't even close the door. So, like, what's the point of turning out the light if the door's still open? You know, just do both, weirdos. Wednesday sort of hatches a plan to basically sneak into Willow Hill get to Uncle Fester and find out if he's identified who Lois is. So Wednesday recruits Enid and Agnes into a gang to do it. And this is where I really think Agnes is the unpaid intern, because she talks about how she takes the non-priority tasks off Wednesday's plate so she can focus. Enid and Agnes hate each other. Classic high school trope of, oh, new friend, I'm jealous,
Yeah.
But I reckon they might warm to each other. Who knows? That would also be a classic trope. You initially, new friend, you hate them, and then you warm to each other. I kind of went through that at school at one point as well, to be fair. And then basically the plan is that if Wednesday gets in, but something goes wrong or can't make it out in time, to basically call the cops and get them sent there. So basically, Wednesday sneaks in and confronts Fester, who hasn't found out who Lois is, but they basically, eventually, I can't remember how they do it, but they discover Lois is actually a program rather than a person. It's a program where they've kidnapped those people with death certificates, are actually still alive, stuck in a basement underneath Willow Hill Psychiatric Hospital, including someone who I'm pretty sure is Wednesday's aunt. I'm sure we'll find it out next episode. Basically, it's a program to transfer outcast powers to normies, and this was started by Augustus Stonehurst when he was the proprietor of the hospital. And he experimented on his daughter, and you find out that the avian is actually his daughter. But what's not clear, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, she's called Judy Spangle. is what her motivation is. Like, why is she killing people off? What was the sort of main motivation about getting these powers from people, from the outcasts? I guess, I mean, it's great to have powers, but what do they want it, to what ends do they want to use it for? You also, whilst that's going on, you have this sort of side issue of Tyler, and who's, Christina Ricci. She plays Laurel, I think. That's her name, yeah. Laurel and Tyler, some weird relationship, like, I'm your mommy, I'll get you out. Like, oh, this is so weird. Well, basically, because of a fight between the Avian and Wednesday and Festa uses special electrical powers, which basically shuts off the electrical grid and causes all hell to break loose at Willow Hill. This allows Laurel to go to Tyler and set him free. And just stupidly, she just gets killed immediately by him. So goodbye, Christina Ricci, who was playing Laurel. It's just great having her in the show, especially as she played Wednesday in the 1991 and 1993 series. Yeah, what she did.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know that she did.
Yeah, that's the cool bit about it. So yeah, that's her goodbye. Wednesday frees this woman who's probably is her auntie from the Lois program, sets her free, and then sees they're in a corridor and sees Tyler as in the full beast mode coming towards her. For some reason Wednesday's like, just go, and just stands there and just lets herself get absolutely bum rushed by Tyler, gets mashed up real bad. You have this ending scene of Tyler smashing up some police, and then running away. And Wednesday is lying on the floor covered in blood, and she looks in a bad state. Then one funny scene, I think just before that, is Uncle Fester and Louise from the cafeteria having a very romantic moment, like, you'd see on Casablanca. The moon is out. It's a psychiatric hospital. All these lunatics are escaping. Very romantic, and they're making out, and Fester runs off. Very cool. So that's pretty much a synopsis. Anything I missed there?
I would say also kind of like with Bianca, that he still has issues with her troubled past of the fact that how she was used. You find out in season 1 that she was used by her mum to kind of people to join a cult, and then also he sees like some of the flyers at the school and tries to get rid of them. And I think also when she comes in and like when Thornhill tries to like attack Wednesday, that she actually leaps in and then she uses her powers to save her. And I think you always have that kind of like trope that in especially in like dramas where it's like teenagers, is that the rival then ends up helping, and then it starts the long walk towards friendship or even just frenemies.
Well, yeah, this is it. But she'll probably be the next member of the squad. It's when we need to get further in the series, and I think Bianca will join the squad along with the Psycho Agnes, Enid, and obviously Wednesday. So the squad is getting bigger. The question is will there be a male member of the squad? Maybe it'll be Wednesday's brother. Who knows? I'll have to see. Yeah, I forgot about that storyline, actually. Yeah, it's so hard to focus on like what's like the main plot and then what's the side plot stuff going on. So Thandie Newton's character seems really suspicious throughout all of this. I think in one of the previous episodes I've got to mention, you remember you had the bird attack at Nevermore School, and you had Wednesday Addams chasing after the avian. You come across the new music teacher who's out of breath, and also Thandie Newton. And it's like, it's strange. It's like, I know you've just had the avian revealed to us, but maybe she's not the avian, the daughter. Maybe there's multiple avians or multiple people with powers. And I think Thandie Newton seems really suspicious. Whilst the music teacher, I don't know. There's a couple of like red herrings there. You've obviously got the daughter of the former director of psychiatric hospital, who, well, it seems too obvious that she's the the avian, I think it's between the new music teacher who I've forgotten the name of and Tanya Newton's character who I've also forgotten the name of that actor. So yeah, weird. What do you think?
I think, what if the avian is actually being controlled by one of those two? And it's kind of like the monster, similar to season 1, is being directed. So, did you watch what's called a Ichabod Crane film in the mid 2000s or early 2000s with Johnny Depp? And I think
I did not know.
Michelle Pfeiffer was the villain. I'm probably getting this wrong, but it was basically about the headless horseman and the fact that the horseman is kind of like
Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was called Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
And the fact that you could argue that the headless horseman isn't the monster; he's just the weapon that's being used. And I think it's Michelle Pfeiffer. I'll need to double check, but yeah, she's the one directing the monster. So therefore, she's the actual monster. The actual headless horseman just wants his head back and is being controlled by the person who's actually holding his head. So it could be the fact that Thandie Newton's character or the new music teacher is actually controlling the avian.
It could be. I mean, we've already had that sort of storyline already with Tyler and what's her name, Laurel. So it could be a thing again, because I felt like it was a bit. I know this is episode 4, and I don't know how many episodes there will be in this season, but I felt like they revealed stuff too early, like that. Sorry, is her name Agnes, the weird unpaid intern, revealed herself as a stalker in episode 2. I thought, that was a bit quick. That kind of ruined the mystery. But perhaps that's also a red herring for the other red herring. So it's a red herring within a red herring for who the avian actually is. Because perhaps, Thandie Newton and the new music teacher also seem suspicious. So perhaps there's going to be many layers to this, which is good, because I hate it when it's like a horror movie when you find out what the evil spirit or the monster or whatever looks like too early on. It kind of just ruins it. So I think there's more to be found out here. So that's cool.
I think shows that really do it well is that you've got the main issue, then you've got 2 sub-issues which contribute to the main issue, but people believe is the main issue, but is actually a side issue, but it's still paramount to the story.
So what's the side quest? What's the main quest, really?
Yeah.
And, it wouldn't surprise me if the new principal is also somehow he's an arsehole. He's clearly manipulating Bianca to do the siren stuff, but perhaps he's somehow involved. But probably not. I think it'd be just too obvious that every year is going to be a new principal and there's something malcontent and malicious about the principal. Yeah.
It's kind of like in Harry Potter, every year there's a new dark arts teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe someone would have cottoned on and maybe not take this job.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of red flag with it.
Had to then leave because he just killed Dumbledore and had to then go on the run. And he's probably I finally get the job I want, and now I have to leave.
Yeah. It's tough, the job market out there. You got to take whatever job comes your way, and if that's defense against the dark arts, then good luck with that one. Yeah. Some funny moments in this episode. I forgot to mention, when you actually get to meet Wednesday Addams' grandma in this, who I don't know the actress playing her, but does it phenomenally. Very good, very great energy to the role. Wednesday, when she tells her grandma that she had a vision of Enid's death, grandma turns on and says, "Oh, well, please give her my card. I offer friends and family discounts." It's like, great. Do you reckon undertakers who work in that business say the same thing? Yeah, very cute. And then Fester, when he's at the police station being interviewed, they're like, "You've got 30 feet passports, 14 ID cards. Do you care to explain why?" And Fester's like, "I love to travel." He's so cute, Fester. And see, what a great guy.
One quote that I wrote down, which was hilarious, that Fester says is like, "You did good, kid. Your folks would be proud." Well, maybe not too proud. You're still you.
Yeah, he has some good one-liners as well, doesn't he? Yeah, it's funny. So, question for you. If you were an outcast, what would be your ability?
I would say werewolf. That's already taken.
Yeah, you could choose
Yeah,
werewolf. I mean,
actually, I would think maybe elementalist. Like being able to then control the elements themselves would be kind of cool.
well, at least these kids at school, there's a group called the ones that sort of can lift things with their minds. I can't remember what they're
Mm.
called though, isn't it? Like, 'cause, you've got the stoners, you've got the werewolves, the wolf
Yeah,
pack.
yeah.
I can't remember the name of their group though, but would an elementalist fall under that plague dash cow group?
It'll be more like being able to then control water, fire, earth, and wind. So kind of like if
The
you've
last
watched
airbender.
the Last Airbender, like being able to then have that type of thing. Because like you then also have like, especially being a Gorgon or a Siren, is that if you're just off the ball, something bad could happen just like that. Like having a conversation with someone, get distracted, and then all of a sudden you've turned someone to stone, or
Yeah.
you've used your siren song and the person's walked into a street and got hit by a car. Because then you then have I don't want it to be one where you have to be constantly active always, especially if like you're a werewolf, you have to then be every full moon, be like, okay, I need to be careful. I need to make sure I get home before a certain period of time. I need to make sure I'm away from everybody at a period of time. And I think that's just too much stress for me. Just like having magic is just a lot easier because like I can either choose to or not to use magic, while it seems like the others is like a condition you have to live with and have to be alert 24/7 to just make sure you don't slip up.
Kind of, you see the curse shining through in a way. Yeah. I guess like Pugsley Addams' power of like the electricity thing's interesting, but I guess maybe you can't touch people, and that's kind of a curse in its own way. Whilst Wednesday's vision's definitely a curse. Yeah, interesting one. I think if I was an outcast, I'd probably just be what I am in real life, a social outcast, because, if you're good at something, just keep doing it, do it well. That's what I say. So, yeah. I guess it begs the question, do normie kids go to Nevermore? Because I think they had normie teachers, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Because is there? Because like with Hogwarts, there's like there's a magical entry requirement, and especially like with magical or supernatural institutions, whether in books or TV shows or films, there is an actual exam to get in. But if there isn't, like, they can't really say no. If there is no supernatural requirement to get into the school, then if someone does get in who is a normie, then technically shouldn't be anything stopping them.
I mean, I guess so. It's not very clear because obviously they can't describe every element of Nevermore, but it's obviously like a fee-paying school. I presume it's like a boarding school. I mean, I don't know any free boarding schools in the UK. Not that I ever went to one, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see like some certain elements of the institution. Like, how does the canteen work? Who cleans the school? Is it all magic? Yeah, you don't get to see those things too much. I do like Wednesday as a show, but I think there's some stuff they could delve deeper into a bit more. Like, also, I think they could really play to the Gothic aesthetic a lot more. Like when they talk about Dr. Augustus, who was the owner of the psychiatric hospital and then became a patient. That's cool in Gothic, but they don't really lean into it as much. Maybe because their target audience is perhaps a bit younger for Wednesday, but I think that would be so cool if they really leaned into the Gothic element more in terms of like just some of the dark elements of it. It's a decent show, but I wouldn't say it's polished. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree, and I think maybe it's because we're used to like people creating worlds and then being able to say, okay, this happened in this world because that institution was set up. So like whether it's stuff with Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or Marvel or Star Wars, Star Trek, or like for you, Warhammer, the lore behind it has been developed so much that you can ask yourself like, okay, on this planet within Warhammer 40k, if this was to happen, okay, now I understand the lore connotations to it. Or why is this a certain way? Okay, the lore tells me this. But I think for like with Wednesday, it's kind of like surface level. that you don't really get
Yeah,
to
it's quite surface
understand
level.
the world. And the question is are they doing it on purpose so that they can then expand it and do further TV series about the world? Or is it because the show is literally the Addams Family, not the world of the Addams Family? So they want to just focus on the family itself and then start off focusing on the character of Wednesday. And then if that becomes popular, then focus on the family as a whole. Like you were mentioning, like in season 2, you see more of the family because the first season of Wednesday was so successful. They were like, okay, now we can bring the family and make them more involved.
Yeah, I guess so. You are seeing Morticia and Gomez taking a family role in the show. So perhaps it will expand on it more. Yeah. Hopefully there's more than just 8 episodes in this season. In terms of
I
like
think
how you
I think there's
go
going
on.
to be 8.
Yeah.
Someone was telling me this, that it's the Netflix model that, unfortunately, because of streaming, especially pushed by Netflix, we would have like 24 had 22 to 24 episodes each season.
Wow.
And
That's a
like you had
throwback.
these major blockbusters, like even like Lost for like the first 4 or 5 seasons did as well. But because of, I think HBO started it, but then Netflix took it to the core that, oh, if this is a major budget TV series, we can't have 22 episodes. We then now have to shrink it. So I think HBO shrinked it to maybe like 10 or 12. But now,
Interesting.
unfortunately, Netflix are like 8. If we have an amazing TV show and people love it, we're just going to keep it to 8 episodes a season. And then that's when you then don't get to understand the world. Like, I was just speaking to Jeffrey about this earlier, that when you would have some of these filler episodes when it'd have like 20 episodes a season,
Yeah, you would,
and
wouldn't
then they
you?
would show you this is the world that the person's in.
Yeah, that's true. You do have some filler episodes, like a classic, for example, a classic bottleneck episode. So
Yeah,
2 characters that don't normally hang out are stuck in an elevator or stuck somewhere, and it's just
yes,
them,
yes, yes, yes.
and it's just them talking for ages. And those episodes, some people can hate, but also can be really good. Like if you saw Breaking Bad, there's one episode called The Fly, which is a bottleneck episode where Jesse and Heisenberg are in a meth lab, and there's a fly in there, and they basically can't leave because they need to kill the fly before it, contaminates something or ruins the crystal meth batch. Wow. Trust me to do a episode about Wednesday. We're just talking about crystal meth instead. But yeah, classic bottleneck episode. They're stuck in that whole episode. So you don't really see. I don't think we're going to see that on Wednesday. So I guess it's like having those 25 episode long seasons. Perhaps it kind of sucks. Do get a lot of filler episodes. Perhaps that's really good for character development and exploring the lore, exploring the setting. I do know some shows, like especially anime. Like don't really watch much anime, but I did watch Bleach for a little bit. Whilst that is a good show, there's so many filler episodes in it. I just kind of getting bored of it, like not moving along. But then sometimes it's good. Sometimes a slower pace where you explore everything is pretty cool, but definitely not getting that with Wednesday. So what do you think?
I think,
Go on.
just to continue what you're saying, and to your point, like the Fly episode from Breaking Bad, is that you then get these episodes which are so unique that you end up like remembering for ages, which
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
really
I remember
build
the
upon
Fly
the
episode.
storyline, but it's perfect because it's like, okay, this is something I didn't know that I'd want, but it's an amazing part of this. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's like that. I don't.
Community. Community. Have you seen Community, the TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually because there's a character in it who like breaks the fourth wall and like analyzes everything like a TV show, and they actually have a bottleneck episode in that, and he says, "Oh my god, this is a bottleneck," and everyone's like, "Huh?" It's like, yeah, that's a good show for it. Can't remember what others, but a lot of these TV shows have them. But maybe older ones, maybe it's less of a common new thing. Okay, but what do you think is going to happen in episode 5 whenever that comes out? I think September time.
I think what it could do, especially with Wednesday getting hurt and her powers diminishing, I think what they might try and bring in is how she then reacts to the people around her. Will she then revert to the old Wednesday and become like cold and shut off from everybody else? And then this plays into what you were saying, that this then enables Enid and also Agnes to then get closer as they try and then break the shell that Wednesday puts herself in after experiencing this amount of failure. Or it could be the reverse, that she then becomes spiteful and then lashes out at people because she isn't able to then she loses her powers, gets extremely hurt, and
Yeah,
hits kind of like a
hospital,
roadblock of
bedridden.
I don't know what to do. And then her friends kind of then bring her back into, okay, you're not just your powers, you're also a very clever detective, and then try and work that out. But I do feel like it's going to be character development for her and then also for her friends. And maybe this is when they then bring in Bianca, who then comes in and is like, you know what, let me help out, especially because Wednesday is off her game.
And you have the squad together. Yeah, it's a good point. She's probably bedridden in the next episode for sure. And that's probably when Enid and Agnes, out of necessity, sort of bond. And yeah, maybe Bianca will come into it. We'll have to see what happens with Tyler. Because the weird thing is there's a lot of bad guys now. So you've got Tyler, you've got the Avian, which is, supposedly the daughter of the of Augustus. Then you've also got, forgot about Slurp as well. Slurp escaped from the psychiatric hospital again. Again, he was tied up on a wall, and you just see the chain like pulling at the bolts and all, and it just comes off. It's like how many minutes in this series are spent on just looking at that? Yeah, so you got to wonder how they're all going to mesh together. Like, are they all going to meet, or is it all going to be separate storylines that are just going to like not necessarily interact but continue into season 3? Is Slurp going to be like the main overlord? Also, what the hell's up with I think Tandy Newton's character's dead because I think she got munched by the by Slurp. So did Augustus as well. Yeah, and then what's up with the new music teacher as well? Like, there's just a lot of unknowns actually about, okay, who's the prime villain of this season, but also is there going to be a series of villains, or are actually they all necessarily going to be villains? Is Slurp just going to become like not necessarily a villain? What if he's like a hot antagonist or something, or not antagonist, just a side character? I mean, a bit hard to imagine with that tongue and what we've seen of him so far. But
what if Slurp is Crackstone? Now that would be a heavy twist.
I mean,
by eating
maybe,
brains,
but I don't think so.
But then also that is something key. There's like, is Slurp going to actually become like proper sentient and being able to then talk and communicate?
Well, he did
this season.
He did. Do you remember when he finished munching Tandy Newton? He turns on to Augustus, who's, as you know, he's non-communicative and stuck in a chair. And Slurp, like the first words he says is, "Hello, old friend," and then eats him. But he's like still not 100%. Well, before he eats Augustus, he's not 100% healed, but he's getting there and he can communicate as well. So, yeah, it'd be weird to see if, because they don't really, all these bad, supposedly villains don't seem to need to have any interaction with each other. It could be that they just become like just characters in season 3. Maybe the Avian is, clearly the main villain and they go, but it's not really clear who the Avian is. So I know a lot on the table here. Yeah. Do you want to hear some super fun trivia?
Yeah.
So how old do you think Jenna Ortega is? Who plays Wednesday?
17, 18?
Nah, my time of checking, she's 22. Enid's the actress that plays Enid, 23. It's got to remember, it's just, probably all, if not most of the child characters in the show, probably played by people in like the early 20s.
Yeah. I think my sister was telling me about this because, you had Skins in the UK and because of like laws on, like sex in
Yeah,
the UK.
especially
It's
skins.
16. It's 16 in the UK that they could have people acting. So the actors, I believe, were 18, so they could do sex scenes. But the gap between 16 and 18 isn't that big. But the issue also in America is that if you want to have a show where there is violence with like children, you then have to then have them specifically be in age older, so that it then isn't given a higher rating, or if it isn't banned in certain parts of the States. So like that's
That
why
makes a lot of
Skins never
sense.
worked. They tried to do, funny enough, they did an in-betweeners, an American in-betweeners, they did,
Yeah.
which flopped. They did
Yeah.
Shameless, which actually was very successful, and I think is still going in the States. And then they also did Skins in America, and it didn't even pass its first season because they were like, yeah, some of the states you're trying to show this TV show in, you have to be 21, and some of these actors aren't 21, and also showing young people who are still in high school doing what people in Skins in the UK were doing. Were like the TV channels were like, we're putting a stop to this right here. So I kind of understand like why they have to kind of like have them
older people.
older than their ages, just because of the way things are built up in the States. And you don't have to then increase the age rating or potentially have like the
appeal to a bigger market.
Yeah.
I always wondered in like horror movies, or shows that are out like 18 plus, how do they get children actors to sort of participate in it? Like, what are sort of the child innocent safety protection rules when it comes to these things? Like, for example, the movie Aliens by James Cameron, iconic Aliens, came out in the 80s. There's a child character in it called Newt, and that was actually played by a child on the one condition that she would not watch Aliens, they actually watch the finished product. She would not watch it until she was 18.
18.
But I wonder if that's an industry norm. Probably not, but I don't think you'd find it as scary if you knew everything about how these are horrible monsters were done. Like it's a guy in a suit or something, for example. But still interesting, eh? Okay, last piece of trivia, and then we will wrap things up. So you don't know if you noticed, but Wednesday Addams almost never blinks in the show at all. Next time you watch an episode, just try and see if you can see when she blinks. I think it's noted where I got this trivia from that she barely blinks. So I think she does blink, but it's actually a deliberate idea. So the idea came after one take where Jenna Ortega didn't blink, leaving producer Tim Burton to say he was so enamored of the result, he told Ortega not to blink anymore when playing Wednesday. So she didn't.
Oh, no. You just have to think, like, when you're not doing something actively and then someone says, what you weren't doing, continue not to do, then your brain's like, no, I need to blink. So that the amount of time she probably has to try and, like, force herself not to blink.
No, exactly. Better to let it be natural, eh? Yeah. Okay. Well, any final closing remarks about that first half of Wednesday season 2?
I would say I really did enjoy it, and I think what they've done, especially bringing in the parents and also bringing in her younger brother, kind of like expands. And then, funny enough, there probably is an audience that doesn't actually know there was an Addams Family TV show. And for some reason, I think the Addams Family was based off like this 60s, maybe even 50s drama called The Monsters. Because I remember they used to show on BBC Two during the summer holidays, and it was just like, I think the husband was like a Frankenstein monster. His father-in-law and his wife are vampires, and their son, I think their son was like normal. But then I think just the comparativeness to the Addams Family. So some people think that the Addams Family came from the Monsters, but I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe. That's one piece of trivia I missed out. Perhaps we could pick up for when we do our second episode, where we talk about the next 4 episodes of Wednesday, which should be starting again in September, which should tie in very nicely for Halloween. That'll be fantastic.
Yes.
Excellent. Well,
just quickly, when you said September, I was like, oh my days, that's ages away. How can we wait till September? Then I was like, wait a second, September's like 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's actually flown by. It might as well be Christmas already. That's a depressing thought. Well, on that note, that's a very Wednesday way to end the show. So I'd like to thank again all our listeners. I know you've been waiting to the brink of the day, every single day, waiting by your laptop for us to do some new material, bring out a new episode. And I know it's difficult for you because we've got billions of viewers out there. It was tough for you to wait so long, but we're here now, and we shall be bringing out a new second part to this Wednesday series. And again, the standard procedure, if you're new to us and you want to see when our next new episodes come out or our shorts, click the notification button on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram as well if you want to follow that. If you really love us and you've got loads of fat money like Wednesday Addams' grandma, you can give us a donation through Patreon. We'd never say no to that. That's all. You've been beautiful, folks. Have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll catch you soon.